Hey, Godfather of Anxiety here again. Today I'm making a video I probably should have made a while back because of the importance and significance of the subject, and that is going to be the effect of music on mental health. And I'll spare you the suspense right in the beginning. Music is immensely beneficial for mental health and also a really good indicator of where our mental health is at currently. This is, I think it's really important. I know it's been part of my therapy throughout the years. At the same time, guys, I do acknowledge that there are times when if your anxiety or your depression's bad enough, that music could actually seemingly make things worse. So, go by your specific situation, work it out with your mental health professional. And certainly if any type of music or anything you're adding makes your stress level or your depression worse, then you wouldn't want to do that. But I want to do cover some key points as far as why and how music is so positive when it comes to mental health. First thing is mood regulation. Now, this shouldn't surprise us at all because all of us, have been affected by, a song, as far as our moods go. A lot of us work out to music, right? And it's funny because, again, this is why music is such a specific thing, because some people will want to listen to something really hard and driving, whether it be something to do with hip hop or something to do with hard rock. And then other people will could listen to classical or something that's more inspirational in nature. So, but there's no doubt that music sets the mood. That's why we have music at weddings. That's why you'll have, even at venues where you go to, whether it's a theater or whether it's a place to see some other entertainment, before there'll be music playing. Music is very powerful. It's setting our mood. So, that's one of the biggest reasons that it's so, positive for mental health. And also that's another reason why we can tell if music is not having the effect it normally has on our moods. That's a really good indication that we're not in a good place mentally. I know that if I'm starting to lean towards being clinically depressed, I'll start to listen to less music. I'll start to listen to different music initially, then less music, and then I won't listen to much music at all. So I've noticed that, and again, everyone's experience is going to be different here. So I'm not trying to say there's one size fits all, but that's why I feel the video is so important, because not only is it such a powerful tool to help with mental health, but it also is a very good indicator of our current mental health and can help us to see what direction our mental health is trending in. And we want to stay on top of it, right? So we don't want to have a relapse. We don't want to have to go through recovery again. So mood regulation, stress reduction. Listening to music can lower our stress. And it lowers the stress hormones, right? These hormones that I'm always talking about, the fight or flight hormones, music can bring that down. So it's immensely good for stress reduction. Again, in the right circumstances, as we're going through the recovery process. If you're having, racing thoughts, up-tempo music might not be the right thing to listen to, right? Or, if you're deeply depressed, there could be music that sets the mood lower that, it isn't good to listen to. But it's an individual specific thing, because this has been my experience. There can be songs that are either sad or depressing in nature, right? Music that's sad or depressing in nature, generally thought of that way. And it's therapeutic when you're depressed. And then other times when you're depressed, you listen to a cheery song and it kind of highlights how you don't feel like yourself and, how you're depressed. And it can have just the opposite effect. So that's why Again, learning yourself is important here. If you have to write it down in a journal, write it down in a journal. But you want to see how this music is affecting you because it's so powerful. So we got mood regulation, stress reduction. Now, as far as anxiety management, it's going to fall in the same thing, right? If we're going to listen to music to help us with anxious thoughts, it should suit the moods. And what it'll do, just like I mentioned in the stress reduction thing, these are basically one point, but it will lower the stress hormones. And especially as we recover, what we'll notice is it will elevate our dopamine levels. Now, that's the feel-good chemical. And that's something that if you're clinically depressed or if you're deeply anxious, you don't have too much dopamine going around in your brain. You are either nervous out of your mind or you are, like I mentioned before, like emotionally dead. When you're deeply clinically depressed, it's like you have no ability to feel. At least that's how it was for me. That's why it's so good. Music is so good for depression because it can lift our moods, right? And this is something that we'll notice. Like I noticed when I was depressed before I got treated, especially those 6 years, I would go and I would listen to music for a few hours. And I look back on that, and that was probably my way of dealing with the depression because, that hadn't been my normal course of action up until that point. But I would listen to music, and to be completely honest with you guys, a lot of the music would probably fall into what you would maybe say was either music directly related to mental health or even music that had more of a somber tone to it. But what they found is that it's extremely good as far as helping us through depressions, both by, again, affecting these the hormones, the stress hormones that are released, as well as the feelings that get generated from this. When you're in a clinical depression, it's like you're at the bottom of a pit. And recovery is going to be you climbing out of that pit. And in my experience, music can be a really powerful tool. Once you've started to recover, music can be a powerful tool to help you out of depression. And one of the ways you'll know you're getting better from clinical depression is when a song that you like, when it makes you feel the way it used to, when it makes you feel good again. Instead of maybe for a while, it was evoking nothing from you. Clinical depression is so scary. And I know that many of the people who view the channel are going to know that already. But for those of you new to the channel, clinical depression is a frightening, frightening experience. The only thing maybe that was more frightening to me was derealization and depersonalization. And maybe, some of the absolute, imminent and impending doom that I felt with panic attacks. But depression, the thing about depression is it just lasts. It doesn't go away for months and even up to a year or more at a time. And now here's a couple of more. These points are going to be a little less important. Although clinical depression, and you guys will know this, and even anxiety, you will have physical pains. I've made several videos about the symptoms that we experience, right? Well, music is a great distractor. And this is another way, in a way it can help you to weed out if these symptoms are being caused by anxiety and depression, right? Because if your mind gets distracted, truly distracted by the music, those symptoms should dissipate, if not go completely away. If you have a physiological underlying cause, the pain's still going to be there. It might be in the background. The music might help you cope with it, but it's not going to go away. So music is really good for pain relief. Now, in order to get better from mental health conditions, you need a clear brain. That's why I always talk to you guys about the importance of sleep and exercise and eating, you know, in a balanced way. Because in order to get better from these mental health conditions, you need to be clear in thought. Racing thoughts, you know, you will not be able to think clearly if your mind is racing, the way it does when you have generalized anxiety disorder or when you have panic disorder. Depression and clarity of thought, no, those are antonyms. I mean, the absolute opposite of a clear head when you're depressed. You'll make dumb decisions. You'll make dumb decisions with anything that involves impulse control. So cognitive function is greatly enhanced, and it's been shown in several studies. Cognitive function is greatly enhanced by music. In fact, if you're worried about Alzheimer's or dementia, listen to new music. It actually helps with neuroplasticity, right? Which is growing new pathways. And they say this is the best way to dodge that bullet of either dementia or Alzheimer's, along again with keeping your blood sugar under control, because it sounds like they might rename those conditions type 3 diabetes. So that the unstable glucose levels have a huge effect as well. But anyway, so cognitive function, a clear mind and a mind that's capable of doing a lot. You know, if you start getting better and you have the itch to try to learn an instrument, guys, that'll help you out so much. It'll help your cognitive function out. And they've shown this in study after study. Kids do better in school when they're exposed to music. This is a real thing. It helps your brain to form new connections, which makes you able to think more clearly and to learn more things. So who wouldn't want to do that, right? That's an important part of this and getting better from any of the anxiety disorders and depression. You're going to need to follow cognitive behavioral therapy. You're going to need to follow exposure therapy. Your mind has to be organized. You also have to be able to put things in perspective. We lose perspective completely when we have these conditions. We catastrophize. We're magical thinking is going on left and right. And you want as clear of a brain and as powerful of a brain as possible to be able to combat this, especially as you start to recover. And then finally, social connections. And music helps so much with, a lot of people, right? You go to a concert or you listen to music together, maybe at a party, maybe you do karaoke, whatever it might be. You're doing these things with other people. And that in itself is treatment for mental health. It's treatment for social anxiety disorder. It's treatment for generalized anxiety disorder. It's treatment for panic disorder. It's treatment for depression. The worst thing you can do when you're depressed is isolate yourself. Music exposes you to social experiences, both directly and indirectly, right? How many times have you listened to a song and felt a social connection with the person who wrote it or the person playing the instrument? Music is powerful. It is a powerful social connection booster. So this is the gist of my video. I'm also subsequently going to be doing a couple of videos on specific songs about mental health, as well as songs that maybe that you could use from different genres to lift your moods. And so the main thing is music is extremely powerful and extremely positive for mental health, and also a very good indicator of your mental health. And then you want to be, know yourself. A lot of getting better from anxiety and depression is learning about yourself and how you respond to certain things. So, as important as music is, if you listen to music or music maybe, because there have been times, guys, I like some music that, would probably be considered pretty hard. I have a very wide range and taste of music. But when I was, having racing thoughts and, waking up every few seconds when I fell asleep, I was not listening to that type of music. It would have given me a heart attack at that point, or at least I would have felt that way. And then again, don't think that because you're depressed, you should listen to all these cheery, happy songs, because sometimes that can have the absolute opposite effect. So learn how you react to each specific, both tempo of music, genre of music, how it affects you. Find the one that helps you with your current state, whether that's clinical depression, whether that's anxiety disorder. And guys, it can be a powerful tool. For me, it's been an important part of recovery, but it also, what it really helps with is it helps me to see when I'm slipping. Because all of a sudden, the joy starts to go out of the music, right? And I love music. I've always loved music. And so I thought it was a really important video to do because the science is really solid on this. Music is great for your brain. It's great for all cognitive function, and it's especially good for mental health. So that's about all I wanted to say in this video. Guys, like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much for the engagement. And until my next video, take care.